Amandla. Good morning. Molweni. Assalamu alaikum. Goeiemorgen. Rashida and I have just traveled about 32 hours from the United States via Doha to Cape Town. It was not our choice to come home, but we come home with no regrets. I want to say that we would have liked to come back with a welcome like this if we could report to you that we had turned away the lies of a white genocide in South Africa, but we did not succeed in America with that. We would have preferred to come here to say that we have won for you a goer, but we could not win it by withdrawing our case from the International Court of Justice against Israel, because as we stand here, the bombing has continued and the shooting has continued, and if South Africa was not in the ICJ, Israel would not be exposed and the Palestinians would have no hope.
Yes.
We would have preferred to come here and say that we have won for you trade deals and that we have been able to secure for us trade deals. But we could not do so by allowing the US to choose who must be our friends and who must be our enemies. So we don't come here to say that we are anti-American or that we have no need for America or that we don't have ties with America. We come here even after being declared persona non grata.
Yes.
We still come here and say we must rebuild and we must reset the relationship with America, because our relationship with America over 50 years has not always been with the White House. It has sometimes been with Congress, and it has always been with the people of the United States of America. When the White House and Congress declared us as terrorists, it was the dock workers in San Francisco that refused to touch South African goods. When Congress did not want to have sanctions, it was the American people who did not eat our fruit and did not touch our goods. And so we have this relationship that we must reset and we must rebuild. And we must hope that President Cyril Ramaphosa will be able to pick up where we left off. But we cannot have a simplistic idea that while we say there must be an ambassador, that you must put a white ambassador for a white president in the United States. And so, many people have said, what is diplomacy? We tried the conventional diplomacy and tried to avoid discussions about the genocide. We tried the conventional diplomacy and said that we must pretend that there is no merit in the idea, or that there's merit in the idea of land confiscations. We could not ignore that. And so we had to go to what is the diplomacy of Ubuntu, the diplomacy of mutual interdependence, that yes. I am because you are. The diplomacy of Ubuntu is not the art of lying for your country.
That's true.
It is the art of speaking the truth, but gently. The diplomacy of Ubuntu is not flattering your host, and the diplomacy of Ubuntu is not denying what is wrong. The diplomacy of Ubuntu is intellectual engagement, and it is persuasion of your host about a better way. The diplomacy of Ubuntu is not sacrificing your values, but it is about universalizing your values. The diplomacy of Ubuntu is not about forfeiting your interests and not having interests with another country, but it is about pursuing your interest but keeping your dignity. That's what the diplomacy of Ubuntu is about, and that's what I thought was the way forward in this very difficult and challenging situation of our relationship with the United States. We have tried to engage. We have been met with executive orders that cut our aid, cut PEPFAR, and now we sit with the idea that millions could be reinfected with HIV and AIDS. The research for the vaccine may not be one that could be completed. Those are the dangerous things that are happening, and why we must mend our relationship or sit out the next 4 years. This is what we have been trying to do, and we must wish that President Cyril Ramaphosa must be able to find someone who can mend that relationship without sacrificing our values. That we can't be in a situation where the Palestinians are lost in this world without someone that they can depend on, like they have depended on South Africa. We were in the airport in Doha, Rashida and I, and someone came up to us, saw the badge I was wearing, knew immediately that I was the ambassador who was declared a persona non grata, and she said, "Thank you very much." And I said, "I'm not sure about how we are going home." And she said, "There's only one way to go home, and that is with dignity. Because if you don't stand up, who will stand up?" And she was Lebanese. She said, "A bully never needs a good reason to act against you. A bully will even do it because your hair is too short." And so I want to say that South Africa is not a military superpower. South Africa is not an economic superpower, but South Africa has the ability again to become a moral superpower, to stand up against chauvinism, to stand up against populism, and to say that what our people died for in Sharpeville on the 21st of March, that's what we stand for. Foremost amongst that is justice. Foremost amongst that is inclusion. Foremost amongst that is truth. We can modulate our truth. We can have a megaphone that is loud, or we can have a megaphone that is soft, but we will never stop speaking the truth. And so we are not here to call on you to throw away our interests with the United States, because our workers depend on AGOA and our workers depend on those investments. But we will do so with full dignity, with our sovereignty intact, and with our pride in what people have died for, from one massacre to another in this country. We cannot sacrifice that. We cannot sacrifice the Palestinians. We will not give up on BRICS. We will not give up on our relationship with China. But we will also not give up with our relationship with the United States. We must fight for it, but we must keep our dignity. Comrades, thank you very much for welcoming us like this. You know, a declaration of persona non grata is meant to humiliate you. But when you return to a crowd like this, and with warmth and a sense of Ubuntu like this, then I will wear my persona non grata as a badge of dignity, a badge of our values, and a badge that we have done the right thing. Thank you very much. Amandla.